My name's LazyBed, and I've been a fight fan for over 30 years. As an accidental industry insider, I've become a staple in the chat rooms of some of your favorite podcasts.
I'm DangerMouse, an Englishman by blood, a Yorkshireman by the grace of God, a dedicated, devoted, and often sleep-deprived casual fan who once upon a time did earn a black belt in Japanese Jiu-Jitsu.
And my name is Austin, aka No Special, a former wrestler with a knack for all things grappling, who's not afraid of a fiery take or ruffling some feathers.
Together, we combine our individual expertise to dive deep into the current events and ongoings in the world of mixed martial arts, the big and the small. This is the Weekend Roundup.
Hey Seattle, I hear the Blues are calling, but tonight they're not on the radio, they're in the cage. Tossed salads and scrambled eggs? Forget that. Tonight it's toss fighters and scrambled brains. Because the Blues aren't just a calling, they're throwing hands. Welcome to Just Bleed Radio's Weekend Roundup, episode 90.
Yeah!
So last night saw us visit the Emerald City. No, not the one in Oz, although we might have found a wizard or two on the card. The UFC took us to Seattle. The fans said, here we are now, entertainers. And the UFC gave us a card that may have left both fighters and fans in need of counselling. We had KOs, we had submissions, we had a draw, we had a rare Bruce Buffer error. Was he buffering?
For the winner, by unanimous decision, Marcin Tapology. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the mix-up. The scoring is for the winner by unanimous decision, Tyrell Fortune.
We had an attempted murder with an accessory. Cigarettes and alcohol may have been found nearby. We had one of the bloodiest fights I've ever seen. I'm your host, DangerMouse, and I'll be leading tonight's little therapy session. I'm talking a lot, but just be patient and I'll introduce tonight's patients. First up, he comes to us with a severe addiction problem. He lives on a diet of MMA fights, MMA chat rooms, and marijuana. The only thing that stops him watching more fights is a lack of screens. I'd call for an intervention, but that would just give me more work to do. He's my other regular host of JBR. He's the Niles to my Fraser. He's always there with a witty retort or a cutting comment. It's our man in Cleveland. It's LazyBed. I hope you're ready for this, my friend.
This is already one of my favorite shows ever. Thank you, Dr. Crane. I'm very happy to be here. I love Fraser. This is awesome. And yeah, I don't even know what to say right now. I'm so happy. So let's go.
Okay, great. Time to get the other guy onto the psychiatrist's couch, although that's where he may have passed out during or after the fights. A situation dependent on his consumption of IPAs or maybe his deep, dark, secret stash of twisted teas.
Oh, fuck you.
Don't be fooled by the tone of his voice. He's a cold-hearted killer. If he finds a rat, they're dead. He's JBR's very own Bulldog Briscoe. He loves beer and MMA, and if we let him loose, you'd probably be listening to some kind of gonzo sports show that may or may not be stupid and contagious. Fortunately, I'm in charge here, so come on, Austin. Take your time. Hurry up. Choice is yours. Don't be late. You ready to talk some fights, mate?
Oh, hell yeah. Great time. I'm not going to lie. I mean, between this weekend being just pretty chill and the fight's not being too bad. I mean, I'm happy. I'm excited, unlike some people on this panel.
I think we all know what that will be. Yeah, there's so much to talk about this week that I could probably ramble on my own for an hour. So make sure your drinks are topped up and your bings are loaded, and strap yourselves in for a show that might give our editing team some severe anxiety. Having done all that hyping up, we're going to start with the bantamweight fight between Ricky Simon and Adrian Yanez that ended as a majority draw, 29-28, and of course 2 28-28s. I can't say I was glued to the fight, but I thought round 1 was close and round 2 was definitely Simon's. Round 3 was clearly the Yanez. He led the dance, he cut Simon's face up, and he almost finished Simon after he dropped him in the closing seconds of the round. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this fight, but I have to say that MMA fans are a bunch of ungrateful little bastards. For so long, For so long, we've wanted to see more 10-8s, and when we get one that turns what would have been a loss into a draw, people still aren't happy. And I know DC was whining and saying that he couldn't see how it was a draw. It's very simple, Daniel. Yanez lost the first 2 rounds. That's not even controversial. All 3 judges gave Simon the first 2 rounds. The only controversial round was round 3, because one judge scored it a 10-9. Colin and D'Amato both giving it a 10-8. So feel free to comment a little on the fight as a whole. But what I really want to know is, are you happy with the 10-8 score for that final round? And I know it'll hurt a little bit to admit it, but we are in therapy here. So did Sal D'Amato and Eric Colin actually get it right for once? And Lazy, why don't you address this first?
All right. Well, first, let me say that I am for 10-8s. I do. I like the liberal use of 10-8s. I feel like judges should have. They should feel more comfortable using 10-8s and putting them on the scorecard. So in that sense, I do support it, because I feel like this was kind of a situation where these judges knew, after having given those first 2 rounds to Ricky Simone, that the only way, because of the way that this fight ended, the only way you could really make this right was to make that final round a 10-8 to turn this fight into a draw. Like, you really couldn't give Ricky the win after the way that this fight went, after how it ended. So I think that they kind of, like, whether you agree with that being a true by the books definition of a 10-8 round, I think it's suitable in this case. It was the right choice to make, because I wouldn't have been comfortable if Ricky had won this thing. I feel like a draw was the best case scenario for everyone. So yeah, I support the way it went.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was an actual 10-8 or not, but I can see your line of thought there. That does make it fair. And Austin, keep it like yourself and make it short and sweet. Do you agree or disagree with the scoring in this one?
I kind of did. I thought Yanez did enough to get the first round. Not by much, but barely. I mean, and that's the thing too. It's like, I don't hate the fact that, like Lazy said, the liberal use of 10-8s, like, you should see more of that, and that should give us more diversity. But this is also a byproduct of that diversity when you do get the scores, right? Sometimes stuff like this happens. And I'll just say, I thought Yanez got the finish. I'm sorry. It should have been stopped. He could barely stand on his own. I think that, by definition, shout out to Rick Glenn, when he pointed at his opponent. I forget who he fought, but he pointed at his opponent, and Grant Dawson, and Grant Dawson was on the mat, just nearly passed out. Yanez, I think, did the same thing at the end of the fight, and his opponent could barely stand. I'm sorry, that should be an instant KO right there. But that's just me. Unfortunate, but can't really blame it when they try to implement more 10-8s.
Good. Glad you think that. Yeah. All right. I just thought I'd give something to warm up on. So let's get on with the main event. I kid you not, about 15, 20 minutes before the fight started, I was staring at Tapology thinking that I should switch from an easy decision to a round 2 Pyfer KO, and I didn't. I'm not sure why, because, I bought him for my fantasy MMA team, for Christ's sake. But that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there now. We saw Izzy looking focused, crisp and clean with his strikes for the first round. He absolutely battered Pyfer's calf and had him looking very compromised. It really was looking good for the former champ. And then in the second round, he just threw it all away and decided to mix it up with Pyfer. Izzy's loss here, in my opinion, was more down to a lack of fight IQ, which is shocking when we're talking about one of the greatest middleweight champions in UFC history, which is also something that Joe Pyfer called him before the fight, I believe, as well. Now, Joe might be in a daze because he just found God, but it was Izzy that was left dazed when Pyfer clipped him with a solid shot. Once Izzy was taken down, Pyfer just dominated him, full mount. Izzy was left with that horrible choice of having fists and elbows rain down on his face, or just turning over and risking giving up his neck. As it happened, when he did turn over, Pyfer just decided not to bother with the choke, and he just beat on his head like it was a bongo until the ref stepped in. So I guess we have to say that this is the best Joe Pyfer we've ever seen. He at least stayed calm and I presume stuck to his game plan. Come Tuesday, he will have jumped up in the rankings, so what's next for him? And as for Izzy, he expressed no interest in stopping fighting. He seems to be very much imitating his hero, Anderson Silva, and severely damaging, if not destroying, his legacy by taking loss after loss post-prime. Now, that may be the addiction story of the night. I'm sure that Izzy has been very well recompensed over the years. He shouldn't need any more money. He has other options available, and yet he seems unwilling to walk away from the bright lights and bruises.
You keep going again and again and again and again and again. I'm not fucking leaving. You'll never stop me. I might get beaten, but I'll always remain undefeated. Jamie Vanderkill.
Probably dooming himself to a gatekeeper role for a few more fights until he inevitably slips from the top 15. So, Austin, let's hear your thoughts on the fight and what's next for both fighters.
Well, I personally, this felt like a fight that I remember watching back in like 2010, like two high level strikers, like just guys who weren't afraid to get hit and willing to step in the pocket, except one of them was older and had been knocked out recently and was, on a 3-fight losing streak, if I'm not, or was 3-1 in his last 4. Joe Pyfer kind of like was coming up and showing how he was not necessarily adapting to the fight, but was just, it's a tale of two careers, right? One, a former champion who had kind of fallen off, but was still showing life in some of his fights and was looking to have like a bounce back performance, right? Whereas Joe Pyfer, you knew who he was. A big, heavy-handed, athletic, bully, more or less, right? One had the experience, one had the technique, one had the IQ, supposedly, and the other young, durable, and had power. And that's it. Like, because you could see during the fight, like Izzy had the right game plan of just staying from the outside and kind of picking him apart and looking to land those low kicks and leg kicks and just trying to minimize Joe Pyfer's ability to kind of land heavy with his lead foot and land a straight right or overhand right or an uppercut or a hook, right? Trying to minimize his ability to promote offense with his footwork. And the problem was that Izzy stepped into the pocket when looking for combinations and decided to, throw hands. Normally, I wouldn't object to that kind of fight from a vet, especially a former champion, except for the fact that Izzy isn't as durable. Izzy doesn't throw heaters like he used to. And the last time he kind of was winning inside the pocket was his rematch against Pereira, who himself was basically landing pretty heavy against Izzy in the rematch and then got countered pretty quickly, right? That was the last time he was successful inside the pocket. And has not been successful inside the pocket ever since that fight. I mean, that's the crazy thing about it was that like Izzy was trying to fight like he was like back in his early 30s, just wanging and banging, looking like looking across the cage at Kevin Gastelum, like, I'm ready to die, are you? And turns out Izzy was not, the mind was willing, but the body wasn't. I don't think that's the case. And Pyfer just kind of kept his composure, allowed Izzy to kind of play his game and then look for opportunities, which is smart of him to just kind of allow Izzy to kind of bring the fight to him and then counter said upon the opportunity with big punches, looking for the grappling exchanges, which he wasn't trying to hold on to him. He was literally looking for like openings to take him to the mat, which is usually what he does. He doesn't look to stall against the cage. He looks for, like, if I could get you to the mat, I'll do it. He won't hold you down. He will look for ground and pound, which is smart against someone like Izzy, who's just looking for abilities to bounce back up. I dislike the matchup, but it proves the point that, like, one guy is on his way out of the, on his way down from his peak, and the other guy is on his way up. Whether he's capable or not against the rest of the top 10 of this division, we'll see. I thought it was a good fight. I was having a good time watching it. It was back and forth until it wasn't. And that's the thing I think you wanted a good main event, is that you want it to be competitive, especially when it's two high-level guys like this. So, Joe Pyfer's proving the point that he's a guy in this division, and I'm interested to see where he goes from here.
Yeah, I kind of said all week that Pyfer could potentially just walk through Izzy's punches because he wasn't going to be that scared of him, and he sort of did that. And Izzy, if he'd have fought like he did against Romero and just stayed back and kicked away at Pyfer's legs, I think he really could have won that fight. But anyway, Lazy, do you have any idea why Izzy just melted down, had a complete brain fart in the fight? And again, what's next for these two from you, I guess?
Well, I think that this is kind of becoming a recurring theme with Izzy, and it's a bit strange and kind of perplexing why this keeps happening. But it seems like for the first 5 to 7 minutes or so of a fight, Izzy is the Izzy of old. He's sharp, he's tactical, he's dictating the pace of the fight, he's dictating the range and the distance, and he's winning these fights. And you could say this for the last, I don't know, maybe not the Strickland fight, but at least the last 3 fights that he's lost, because he's now lost 4 in a row, finished in 3 of those last 4. So, but it seems like he's winning these fights in the beginning. And then for whatever reason, he's having a complete like lapse of judgment, and he's getting in brawls, or he's falling into the game plan of these guys that he's fighting. And it's just it's the strangest thing, and I don't understand why it's happening to a guy who was at one time was probably one of the more cerebral fighters in the game. So it's just a strange situation for him why this keeps occurring. But I liked what you were mentioning in the beginning when you were opening up this fight discussion, DangerMouse, when you were saying, Izzy has life outside of fighting virtually set up already. He has avenues for success and opportunities for income once the cage door closes and once he's no longer competing and he sets down the gloves. So it's strange and it's disheartening for me to continue to hear him talking about, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not leaving. You can't get rid of me. You'll have to kill me to get me out of here. That's not what I want to hear from a legend who is clearly on a sharp and rapid decline. And there is no denying now at this point, 4 losses in a row later, losing to guys the likes of Joe Pyfer, that he is not his old self. He is on a very, very sharp decline that's only going to get worse. And my concern is, and my fear is, that we're going to see Izzy, a man who was just a few years ago being bandied around in GOAT conversations, we're going to see him relegated to fighting basically nobodies. He's going to be fighting unranked guys, older guys, new young guys coming in off Contender Series. Like, is that what we want to see? An Israel Adesanya who was once considered to be like the pinnacle of this sport, forced to fight fucking bums? I don't want to see that. And that's the point he's at. He's at the point he needs to start fighting outside of the rankings. And I don't know, all around, I don't think it makes sense. I don't think it makes sense financially for the UFC to be paying him what I guarantee he's earning to be fighting unranked fighters. I don't think it makes sense for his legacy to be fighting that low in the swimming pool. And it's tough because I feel like you said, Mouse, he is basically tarnishing his reputation and the brand and legacy that he built when he was one of the all-time greats, because there's going to be a whole new generation of young fans that have only seen these last 4 fights, and they're only going to remember him as a stepping stone for other guys. They're not going to remember the time when he was one of the best fighters in the world. So it's like, if you are sticking around, Izzy, you need to start weighing the consequences of what that's going to mean for how people remember you, because you're clearly not fighting for money. So what are you fighting for? Are you fighting for legacy? Are you fighting for people's interpretation of your stance in the pantheon of the greats? I don't know. It's a strange situation because he doesn't seem to want to leave, and I don't foresee him doing well against much of anyone in this division. So it's very tough. This is a guy who's had hundreds of fucking fights in his life, kickboxing, MMA, put it all together. Like, you've done it all, dude. You don't need to do any more. You've proven all you can prove. I don't want to see you going out on a fucking 7-8 fight losing streak. Just last night was the perfect opportunity in my eyes to call it quits, to walk away. But that's not often the case in this sport. As we know, guys hold on too long and they go out, in a fetal position. And that's probably going to be what happens to Izzy. So, and on the Joe Pyfer side, I've already gone a little long here, so I'll just be brief in saying that I can't, even with this win, I can't yet put my trust in him and my faith in him as being a top 5 guy, which he now is. Well, believe it or not, folks, Joe Pyfer is top 5 in the UFC's middleweight division now. Can he stand the heat in the kitchen? I don't know. I don't know if he can. He can't stand heat in his food. He can't stand spice in his food. I don't know if he can stand the heat in the octagon. And, you know, although he has found God now, we do know that he found God for manipulative reasons in order to gaslight his girlfriend into staying with him. So I don't know. I think that Joe Pyfer is a bit of a meathead. I think he fights like a meathead, and somebody is going to catch him, and it's going to happen sooner rather than later. So whoever is next for him, I don't know, Joey. Doesn't look good.
No, possibly not. As you said, with this, he's heading on the route to becoming the middleweight Tony Ferguson or Smiling Sam Alvey if he continues the way he's going, with a much, much better reputation than those guys had. Honestly, I was just thinking about it while you were talking. Right now, I might even be happy to put my draft pick, Ty Miller, in against him, the way he looked last night, because I think he'd pick him apart in the second or third round or something like that.
No, not that far yet, but still.
He's getting close,
Agreed. He's getting there.
Yeah. Okay, enough on that. On to the co-main, Alexa Grasso versus Macy Barber, which, you know how it is. It looks kind of interesting, but it's a woman's flyweight fight that doesn't feature Dakota Ditchever, so it's probably just going to be a standard decision win for somebody. I thought Barber, and I think most people thought that too. Turned out that people forget, man. People forget. They forgot that Grasso has probably the best boxing in that division.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
And former champion Alexa Grasso didn't forget. She said, "What if I say I'm not just another one of your plays? What if I say I will never surrender? I'm the enemy. I'm the hand that will take you down." And boy, did she take Barber down. Grasso hit her with a left hand that just folded Barber's legs. She went down like a cheap camping chair at the Super Heavyweight Musical Chairs World Championship. Grasso, in a move that probably triggered Valentina's PTSD, leapt onto Barber's neck like a boa constrictor and just sank in the rear naked choke. In fact, she sunk it in so hard that Barber's tongue poked out of her mouth. Mike Beltran jumped in to stop it. Barber stayed down for a long time, and when they finally announced the result, it was a KO win by a punch. A bit surprising at the time, but I believe it's the ref's discretion, and Beltran was already moving in to stop the fight because he'd seen Barber's lights go out. The fight was already over in his and Barber's minds. One a conscious decision, one just unconscious. Probably not the result the UFC were hoping for. Barber, a bit of a hot prospect, but she fell seriously short of getting near the title with this performance and loss. Grasso hangs around sniffing for another title shot. Maybe we'll see her versus Manon Fiorot. I mean, we didn't see much, but what do you guys have to say about the fight and these ladies' futures? Lazy, I could be wrong, but I think you picked Barber for the bleeders. Never mind, guys. 5 points is 5 points. So take it away, Lazy.
Well, first off, I did not pick Macy Barber for the bleeders. Austin did. I would never pick Macy Barber for anything.
Don't put this on me. I picked her only because of the evidence suggested.
My apologies. I didn't have time to.
Yes, I appreciate that apology, and I will accept it, because not only did I not pick Macy Barber for the bleeders, I did not pick Macy Barber on Tapology either. I didn't. I was one of the few people that didn't. I was on the Alexa Grasso train because I said this throughout the week on the various shows, preview shows, things of that nature. There's one glaring issue with fighters from Lobo Gym, where Alexa Grasso comes from, where Irina Aldana comes from, where Diego Lopez comes from. All these fighters lack one thing. They lack the ability to cut off the cage. They cannot corral their opponent. For whatever reason, some people speculate it's because they train in a ring, so they're used to 4 sides as opposed to the 8 sides of the octagon. But for whatever reason, these fighters from Lobo Gym have a terrible fucking time with their ability to corral opponents. They cannot cut them off. They follow them around. They aimlessly walk around. That was what got Alexa Grasso into trouble in her last fight against Natalia Silva, where she was just completely outpaced with the footwork, which is surprising because despite the inability to cut off the cage, Grasso does actually have great footwork. She will go toe to toe. She is the heart and souls of the UFC. And you said somebody might want to sniff Grasso. I think they would like to sniff her, but that's a whole other story. But back to the subject matter at hand. As I said, Lobo Jim has a typical, known flaw in the ability to cut off the cage. Luckily for Alexa last night, she was given the perfect opponent in Macy Barber because you don't have to head off Macy Barber. Macy Barber is going to come right to you. She is going to come straight at you. That's the perfect opponent for somebody who has the trouble cutting angles. So it worked out very greatly in Alexa's favor. And with that fantastic boxing that she's possessed all the way going back to the Invicta days, she was able to put together a beautiful little combo. Make Macy do the fucking splits right there in the cage and go down, lights out. As you said, Mouse, some people questioned whether this was a submission or a KO. Got ruled a KO. That's the right call because it is the referee's discretion ultimately at the end of the day. Big John McCarthy hopped on to weighing in this morning and actually clarified this for all of us and said exactly that Beltran was in the process of already stepping in to stop the fight for the knockout before the submission was even applied. So the fact that the RNC got snatched up that quickly is more a credit to Alexa's reflexes and not, Beltran making a slow decision or whatever. It just, she was faster than he was. So the fight was being stopped for the KO. Thus, it was ruled a KO. I'm sure there was a lot of people that had bet submission in this fight that probably got real excited for a second and then got real mad. So, yeah, that is just... To touch on the finish itself, fucking beautiful. Like the instinct and the aggression and just the sheer violence that you have to possess to fucking clip somebody like that, catch him again on the way down because she caught her again with another shot, and then snatch up the fucking neck just because it's there. Like, oh, there's a neck right there. I better fucking grab that. Like, girl, you're a fucking nasty little thing. Keep your fucking throat away from Alexa Grasso. She will crush your aorta. Tracheas beware. So great work from her. And then afterwards, we have to talk about it. The weird situation with Macy just laying there and staring blankly ahead, walking fast, faces past, you know the song. But she was in fucking another world. So... people said maybe she had a seizure. We don't know. She's had a history of brain conditions and things of that nature. Could have been. We can't speculate. We're not dads. We're not doctors. We can't speculate, but we don't know. But some people are very mad about the camera staying on her for a long period of time. They feel it was kind of distasteful. They think it was a little bit, pushing the boundaries of what's acceptable. And I would just briefly like to be the contrarian and push back against those people and say that every now and then, although those cameras did stay trained on her lifeless face for quite a bit, every now and then we do need reminders that this is not patty cake. This is not ballet. This is a blood sport, whether we like to admit it or not. These fighters' goal is to either put their opponents unconscious or to maim them and make them submit. And sometimes you need reminded that they're not just playing a game out here. They're playing with each other's lives, and they're doing it for our entertainment. So if that situation made you a little bit uncomfortable, which maybe it should have, it made me a little bit uncomfortable. Sometimes this sport should make you uncomfortable because this ain't kiddie games. So I think they could have handled it with a little bit more class and maybe cut away sooner. But who am I to say, because we watch a blood sport for entertainment. So, hey, it's a strange situation, but I think this was a fun fight. I hope the best for Macy's medical situation, as always, whether I like her or not. And I think this was exactly what Alexa needed to remind people, dude, I've only lost to the best of the best. Don't fucking count me out yet.
Yeah,
Yeah, some very good points there, Lazy. I think you're right there. We do need to see the harsh reality of this sport sometimes, especially if people are new to the game, I guess. And
Yeah.
they did leave the cameras on her a lot because I have a hell of a lot of screenshots tucked away in my folder somewhere. Anyway, Austin, I'm sure you were mentally in the thick of it with 2Cs, that is, of this fight. So what do you want to add?
Well, to be fair, I believe I did pick Macy mainly due to the fact that like I figured she would crowd Grasso before Grasso got a chance to like let her hands go. But she did the thing where like Lazy said, she's not exactly engaging, like crashing into her like Macy usually does. She's not like trying to wrestle her immediately to the ground. She's not like holding her against the fence and looking for elbows and short punches inside the clinch, right? She literally kind of tried to cut her off and gave her very minimal distance away from the cage. And that was like the perfect opportunity for Grasso to set up her counter. Like there was 2 times that she got clipped before that, if I'm not mistaken, right? And she just literally kind of like was, oh shit, oh, I guess she can hit me from here. I should probably kind of mind my P's and Q's. And before she committed to kind of playing either an outside game or an inside game, she still let Grasso set up a counter because she decided to still crash into her. And not even at the right angle or even at the right measurement. She just kind of like allowed Grasso to set up a jab and then counter left. And it was like the most perfect punch I had ever seen from a fucking fighter in a long time. And it was one of those things where you're like, oh, damn. It was super quick too, because she drops. Alexa kind of hits her again before she completely like is on the ground, and then all of a sudden, like a spire fucking monkey, the way she did to Valentina, the way Misha Tate did to Holly Holm. Holy shit, she's on her back, about to fucking finish her, and it's already over. Like, oh my god, and Grasso's back, and sure enough, like we're all like fucking, I'm shouting via Mexico and all that shit, and then you're like watching this shit on play, and you're like, oh damn, she's not up yet. You see Grasso sitting next to her, just kind of like kneeling against her, and it's like, and I think because again, we're not medical professionals. Daz would have a better idea of like understanding this, and I think even he would say like, I'm not sure exactly what happened there. There's a lot of if, ands, or buts that we can interject into the situation, and I think half of it too is like A, it could have been a medical issue. B, it could have been her realizing that her like, because she was wrestling the ref after the stoppage, and it's one of those things where it's like, again, like you guys said, I'm not a huge fan of it, mainly because sometimes I like to kind of, you know, remove the brutality of the sport when it's not necessary, But again, like you guys said, it is a good reminder of what we watch. This isn't, a traditional sport where there's like everyone's friends at the end of the day, or we all get to like laugh and shake hands after a good game and whatnot. Most of the time, these people are going to the hospital. And they got, a lot of shit that goes with that, injuries from camp, weight cutting, concussion syndromes, bleeding from the brain occasionally, ligaments that need surgery, their kidneys sometimes fail them. And now they have to like worry about, rehydrating properly before they can even do another weight cut. Sometimes they can't even be cleared by the doctor because sometimes their medicals don't come back correct, There's shit that happens all the time in this sport, and sometimes at the elite level we barely get to see it because these are supposed to be consistent, like good athletes that compete. And at the lower levels you see a lot more of this type of stuff. And this is the thing that I kind of appreciate when the camera does show it. Like we saw it with one lady who had her collarbone, if I'm not mistaken, broken, and they just kept the camera on her and she was wailing in pain. It happens, and I think it's a good reminder. Not all the time. They probably could have removed the camera every 5 seconds, but like they were like saying, "Oh, she's fine, she's fine." No, I don't think she's fine, guys. But again, I think it's a good reminder that it happens in the sport, like you guys are saying. But the other thing too is that like we looked at Grasso as kind of like a person who had been at the top of the sport very quickly in this division and then quickly found herself out of it, mainly because she was fighting Valentina, who is probably the best women's fighter in this, era, aside from some others. But I think that's the thing we kind of have to remind ourselves is that like that fight series with Valentina was proof of the point that Valentina is one of the best, and Grasso was able to get a finish on her and a draw before she completely lost the plot. And then she fought a very good fighter in Natalia Silva, who had just the right, game plan and whatnot to kind of lull her into false sense of inability to finish, right? This was the perfect opponent, like Lazy said. Someone who's going to crash into her, and the UFC was not prepared for that. And you could tell because a lot of people had the same kind of feeling of this fight where like, hey, either she's going to crash into her, take the fight from her, and Grasso's not going to be able to do anything from it. People like Lazy were like, nah, you guys forget. She's really fucking good. Don't let the losses that she had fool you, because she still is that person. She just hasn't been able to do anything with it yet. And sure enough, she said, fuck that. Vieja Mexico, bitch, and fucking left-handed her over my hands, and that was it. It was a good fight. I liked it.
Real quick, DangerMouse, before we move to the next one, I did want to mention this because Austin reminded me. It was another thing that Big John brought up earlier. It was actually kind of a very smart and thoughtful move from Beltran to rule this fight a KO instead of a submission. Because had this fight been ruled stoppage via submission, Macy Barber would have been eligible to return back to training and be eligible to fight again in like 10 days. So now, thanks to it being ruled a TKO, she has like a mandatory 40 days before she can return to any type of sparring or like full contact. So he kind of like did her a favor there too, because now legally she can not take any fucking blows to her head for at least like the next 40 days or some shit. So saved her there a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. That is a very good point. Feature bout time, Michael Chiesa took on short notice replacement opponent Nico Price in a double retirement fight. Chiesa does get some nice favourable matchups, and this was DJ Khaled time, another one. Chiesa barely broke a sweat, taking Price out in just over a minute with MMA's favourite submission, the good old rear naked choke. There are no more fights for these guys. Price retired too, with 0 fucks given by the UFC. We still have a lot to go on, so keep it brief. Anything you want to say about either of these guys? Austin, you might as well go first.
One, the UFC did Nico Price dirty. They literally showed a picture of him, like 2 seconds of him, like just like with his gloves in hand, about to like trying to like wait for his moment, and they just did not give it to him. So that was dirty. Good shout out to Chiesa. He didn't deserve a send out like this, but I would be more appreciative of this if they did it for more fighters. And they choose who they choose to pick it for. That's kind of the wrong part of it. Also, the fact that they gave him pineapple pizza and fucking champagne on the desk. Yeah, no, fuck that. Whatever, man. It was a good little scrap. They did Nico Price dirty. I don't hate Chiesa for it, but I think the UFC deserves some flack for that.
Okay, Lazy, anything you want to say about this?
Yeah, well, Nico got fucking cucked harder than Ian Gary. They fucking left poor Nico standing over there cold and in the corner with his dick in his hand, waiting for an opportunity to say anything. And then they did nothing, not a fucking chance. That camera cut to him like at least 2 different times, maybe 3 different times, just brief pans showing him, pacing back and forth, gloves in hand. And I get it. Everybody knew for months leading up to this was Chiesa's send-off. This was his last fight, hometown, blah, blah. But Nico Price actually had more fights in the UFC. You could argue more entertaining fights. So just as tenured of a fighter, and he gets absolutely nothing. He doesn't even get 30 seconds on the mic, which is completely ridiculous. So fucking piss on you, UFC, for that. That's bullshit. But they're known for that. They're known for favoring one retiring fighter and then not favoring another one. So either way, happy trails to both of them. Hopefully you both can find success. But specifically Nico Price, because you got a lot of mouths to feed, buddy. So hope you got a backup plan.
All right, another gritty veteran in the next fight. Juicy J, Julian Erosa, took on the gunslinger, Larian Douglas, who definitely came with all chambers loaded. One of those fights that, if you just look at the numbers of strikes thrown, it looks close, but it was the accuracy that made the difference. Douglas landed 60% of his strikes, Erosa scraping a measly 36%. Douglas started off early, targeting Erosa's leg, and he battered it up pretty badly, slowed his movement down, and that just allowed him to work his very nasty boxing skills. The real revelations from this fight might have been just how damn good Douglas's jab is. He hit Erosa with it a couple of times and actually got knockdowns with it, which is kind of crazy. You don't see that very often. A fight where maybe the ref could have jumped in just a little bit earlier. Not terrible, but I don't think that last knockdown was needed. Very nice fight by Douglas. He looked cool, calm, collected, as he added 25K to his paycheck. So, Lazy, any thoughts on Douglas? He only has 2 fights in the UFC. Were you aware of him before his Dana White's Contender Series appearance? And what do we do with him? What do we do with Erosa? With a chin that's obviously severely compromised, should he just go, or is he just going to hang around until his contract ends?
Well, to start, yes, was aware of Legion Douglas. Legion, double R's, Brazilian.
Sorry, my apologies.
That's
I'm not
right.
Brazilian.
But, yeah, was
He
aware of him.
hides his nationality anyway, because on Tapology he's listed as Oliveira of his surname, and they didn't put that up. So there you go.
Oliveira, either way, it's tattooed across his chest. Anyway, he is a very, very potent striker, a guy who packs a ton of fucking punch. And yes, did know about him prior to this. Saw a couple of his fights in LFA. Had several of my regional MMA sources guys hyping him up to me. Actually had some people telling me that I should have drafted him for our fantasy draft this year. Kind of mildly upset that I took Mansour Abdul Malik and not Legion Douglas. But anyway, we'll get to that later. But
we'll get to him.
Yeah. So Douglas, man, obviously hits like a fucking ton of bricks. Only downside to him is going to be he's going to need to maybe kind of reel that in a little bit. Should some of these fights get to go in a little bit longer, because he puts absolutely everything into every shot. Some of those like uppercuts he was throwing, he was leaving his feet. So
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, just fucking kangaroo jack with the uppercuts. But yeah, really good fighter. He's going to be a fun guy to watch going forward. I see a lot of people already calling him a contender. I'm not going to go that far yet, but I will say he's a guy that he's basically a lightweight Rumble Johnson, like kind of of the ilk of like a Terrence McKinney almost, where he's got the ability to put your lights out very quickly if you let him while the fight's still young. Maybe if you could drag him a little bit later into the fight, which is going to be difficult to do, you could catch him with some stamina issues. But for now, yeah, he's going to be a guy to watch out for. And Juicy J, it was a tough night all around for Extreme Couture. I never really been the highest on Erosa. He's a coin flip fighter. He could beat a lot of guys you wouldn't expect him to beat, and then he could just lose and look terrible. So the durability is going with him. He's getting up there in age. Maybe BKFC in the future for Juicy J.
Well, you can't send it to BKFC with a chin like that.
Yeah, sometimes the chin kind of recovers and it's different. I think if you're not expecting like the grappling game, you know what I mean? But yeah.
All right, Austin, as soon as you jumped in there, thoughts on the fight and these guys' futures?
I was not as aware as Lazy was of the guy that we were talking about, but Douglas is his first name, right? Or last name?
Legion Douglas.
Middle name. Yeah, middle
okay,
name.
Yeah, okay. I kind of jarbled his name for some reason. Anywho, he he kind of reminds me of like a Chad Mendes, where he's just like throwing and he's short for the division, but he's got some goddamn hands, right? And he just didn't look like he wasn't afraid of Erosa. Like he looked out there like he's just like, I know what I need to do. I know that Erosa can get chinned, and I know Erosa is tall and lanky. So if I close the distance, it's easier for me to land my strike other than him waiting from the outside to counter with his long ass arms. He's hunched over anyway, so it's just adding to my ability to land on him. That's what it looked like to me. And also, for your point, Mouse, where those jabs were landing, it was because he got landed on earlier and he was dropped and it was already on wobbly legs. So it's like the Kamaru Usman effect, where if I hit you hard enough because I've hurt you, it should add to the power of my jab, because now you're not expecting how powerful my strike is. And it's one of those things where it's like, the ref, I don't know, knew what to do. And that was a weird thing too. I think there was like one or two other things that happened in the officiating of this night. It's not like they go to Seattle all the time, but it was funny because it was like, oh man, they're just watching a guy die because they don't know how to end the fight. You can see there was like fear in some of the people's eyes watching. They're like, oh my god, he's just getting bludgeoned to death at this point. You can see Rosa just like, he tried twice to spin after getting hit and just like looked terrible doing it. And you're like, oh Douglas, please just end this. He does. And it's just like, just official at that point. Like, you can see like Erosa is that guy. He should probably face a grappler next, and not somebody who's got hands or is a dangerous striker. If he can't beat that person and last, to the end of the round, I mean, that probably is the end of his run in the UFC. And he was on a decent little stretch for a second, and now he's got multiple finishes in his last few. Against him, I don't know if he's long for the UFC after this. And again, like Lazy said, he's also older. I wouldn't mind seeing him do something else, even if it's just like, another striking, organization, or even just going to like, the PFL or, something like that. Like, hey, you could take a step back from the competition, ideally, and probably get more out of it. Maybe go up a weight class. Who knows? He's tough for the division anyway. So who knows? Who knows?
Okay. And here we go. Another fight with draft consequences. Usually Belgaroui versus Lazy's 7th round draft pick, Mansour Abdul Malik. I normally like Lazy's draft picks, but I did a little research on this one and ended up going for the dog in this fight, which proved an excellent choice as Belgaroui gave Malik a striking lesson. Round 1, he put in work, landing 13 of 16 leg kicks and outstriking Malik 2-1. And he set the foundations for the rest of the fight. Round 2, Belgaroui landed 69% of his strikes, outlanding Malik about 3-1. Malik was trying to get the wrestling game going, but although he managed a couple of takedowns, he couldn't keep Belgaroui down, getting only about a minute of control time. It looked as if Belgaroui was going to get a finish in the final few seconds of the round, which I did not want because I had him by 3rd round TKO. But going back to how we started the show, should that have been a 10-8 round for Belgaroui? One to look at maybe. Anyway, my third round prediction was exactly what happened. Belgaroui kept his cool, walked Malik down, and finished him off in clinical style with a knee to the face. Belgaroui wasn't on my radar. Now he might be with that performance. Dominic Cruz loved his striking, and if Dom says it's good, I'll believe him. Aaron Bronstetter said he should be ranked, that he'd beat Delidze, and that he'd like to see him versus one of my draft picks, Christian Leroy Duncan. And Austin, I don't know if you join me in hating on Lazy's pick. What do you think of the fight as a whole? And which of the two of these guys will you be keeping an eye on in the future?
Well, first off to Lazy's team. Hey, it's 5 points. It's 5 points, but yeah, suck it, Lazy. Anywho, but the thing is that I didn't really think Abdul Malik would try to strike with him at range, and I just kind of felt that was the wrong choice right off the bat. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh no, what are you doing? Because like I'm thinking, he knows how to get the guy down. He did it several times in this round, in this fight. My hope was that he was going to kind of crowd him, keep him against the cage, and then constantly look for takedowns. Not too dissimilar to like a traditional wrestler, ground and pound type that like a Matt Hughes would, or looking for like somebody that's just going to like, okay, I know if I stand at range with a tall, lanky striker who has a whole career in kickboxing, if I'm not mistaken. His whole point is to keep the fight standing as long as he can so he can find the finish, whether it's in the first, second, or third, right? He knows what his game is. He knows where his bread is buttered. Malik has the ability to strike with him, not very well. And you can tell right off the bat with the kicks, right? And the straight punches that were coming down the pike, and he had no idea how to counter that because it's the first time he's ever faced someone who was bigger and better at striking than he was. Usually he kind of knows how to play the game a little bit and kind of find his range, find his weapons as he needs to. That wasn't the case. Right off the bat, he's losing the fight because he's getting kicked and doesn't know how to counter them, doesn't know how to check them, doesn't know how to establish his range or even find the takedown easily enough to where he's like looking for ground and pound, looking for trying to keep the cage next to his opponent's back so that he could figure out how to stall against the cage enough to where he could find openings with clinch striking, or even like just looking to find other additional takedowns. What he ended up doing was just last minute takedowns, last minute clinches, last minute like crashing against his opponent, in which it set up perfect strikes from I can't say his name, so I'll just say the tall guy. You just say the thing. It's fine. Balgoey. It's not going to work, Mouse. Don't worry about it.
Just imagine it. It's Belgar with the French word for yes added to the end of it. Belgaroui. It's fine. We'll work on it later. Anywho, I'm usually good at them. It's just not going to work right now.
Abdul Malik is like kind of second guessing his opponent's timing, second guessing his own offense, and that's what sets up this counter striking that just works perfectly. The knees in the clinch, the straight lefts, counter rights, just elbows in the clinch when he gets an opportunity to. The fact that he's as tall as Pereira kind of works in his favor in this division. If you're tall and lanky and know how to fucking land, it's gonna work in your favor 9 times out of 10. They were trying to make him sound like he's fucking Alex Pereira, though, and that he's not. No, Pereira would have found a way to fucking finish Malik in the first round and just kind of not even really sweated it. But the fact that he's landing consistently, staying on his game, and not really getting discouraged by getting taken down and finding ways back up, I thought that was going to be the game plan to begin with for Malik. I don't know why it wasn't to begin with. I don't know why they didn't press on it when he had opportunities, not even looking for ground and pound. He's just, you could tell he was scared of getting hit on consistently because he was holding on and then not sure what to do afterwards. Like he was second guessing his own grappling. And that's the thing where it's like, if you're going to be looking at an opponent who can strike better than you, the worst case scenario is that you might need to stall on the ground and then make sure that your corner knows what to shout to you. So that way you don't freak out when you get the takedown because you're scared of him getting back up. That was a problem for me. And then you could see right off the bat, like the minute like that second round it ended, you're like, oh, he should not continue. Like it should have been a TKO right there and then, because it looked like it was just not going to end well. Like the corner should have saved him from more damage, but sometimes that's not the case in the sport. Good for the guy who won. I can't say his name for some reason. Mao. Nope, not gonna work. Malik needs to go back to his coach and learn how to fucking strike from range and effectively. Otherwise, work on your wrestling game in this division, because guess what? You're either a decent striker that can defend takedowns, or you are a decent wrestler who can look to damage from clinches and takedowns. He's got to figure out which one he is, and he cannot do both clearly.
Okay, nicely. Well then, now here he is, the man we greet with the oft-repeated 5 points is 5 points, right, Lazy? Malik Johnny, my Pink Panther on the losing bench. So what do you have to say about this performance from your guy? What went wrong, mate? What went wrong?
Well, here's the thing, guys. I drafted Mansour Abdul Malik, not even particularly because of his skill set, but primarily because of his brain, because of his intelligence. Very cerebral guy, very thoughtful guy. Watched some interviews of him, and I really liked the way the kid came across. He really had a good head on his shoulders, seemed to be pretty smart. And then he gets into this fight, and he gets hit in the face a couple of times, and all of a sudden he turns into Carl from Sling Blade. And yeah, so all the smarts and all that fucking good IQ went right the fuck out the window, because here's the thing. He was supposed to wrestle this dude. He was supposed to grab on to this giant, long, fucking praying mantis thorax son of a bitch, and he was supposed to wrestle him to the fucking floor and pummel him. That's what was supposed to happen. Yusri Belgauri, Austin, is a kickboxer. He's a Dutch kickboxer. You should be able to wrestle this guy. You should be able to get him down there. You should be able to hold him down. But the problem with that was Glover Teixeira. It seems like when Glover Teixeira gets his hands on fucking kickboxers, he has the magic special sauce to teach these guys how to transition to MMA. And although he is not as thick as Alex, pause, no diddy, he has that same body. He's got that same structure, same fucking game plan. He's got the same fight style. And it's working perfectly with Alex and Glover in his corner. And we see the results. He destroys my draft pick. He fucking slaughters my boy. And that sucks for me. But it's really good for this division, for the UFC, because they do kind of got another like semi-Alex situation on their hands where, I think it's a little bit too soon, maybe. But if Izzy's going to stick around, I would not mind seeing Izzy versus Yusri Belgauri.
Oh, God, no. No.
We're talking glory kickboxing backgrounds. We're talking history amongst common opponents. I think it would be a fun fight to watch. It's just a thought. But if they don't go that route, I was thinking of this, and this might either tickle DangerMouse's fancy or put a little bit of fear and a little shake in its boots. What about Yusri Belgari versus CLD? I think that's a fantastic fight. Christian Leroy Duncan versus Yusri. That'd be a striker's fucking delight. So, yeah, a good showing for Yusri.
I don't know if you just skimmed over you or not. I had to say that Aaron Bronstetter wanted that fight as well.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I think that's a fantastic fight. But yeah, it was a good performance for Yusri, and this is the same Yusri who lost on the Contender Series and then went and won a couple of fights in the LFL over Netherlands-based organization, and comes back with a fury, has now taken out 2 consecutive hot prospects that the UFC had high hopes for. And he's kind of becoming like a middleweight version of Christian Rodriguez. This guy's a prospect killer. If you have a potential talent in the UFC that you're looking to promote, don't put them against Belgowri. Do not.
Looks that way. All right, that brings us to the opener for the main card. At lightweight, Terrence McKinney defeated Kyle Nelson via TKO, head kick and punches at 24 seconds of round 1. Officially, McKinney landed 13 strikes. I'm not actually sure any of them really hit. Certainly, Nelson partially blocked the head kick, and he just shelled up the minute he fell down and landed on the floor. Probably a bit cruel of me to say, but it looked like Nelson really started regretting his life choices from the moment the ref said, "Let's fight," and just decided to take an easy way out. I don't know what Nelson is paid, but even at 12-12, he just made $500 per second. I wouldn't mind that for this show, to be honest. We didn't learn anything from this fight. We just confirmed that T-Rex isn't interested in overtime. I can't think of anything else to add, but I believe Lazy said he had some good McKinney stats for us. So take it away, Lazy.
I do indeed. And these are from a couple of different sources on X. I think some of them just came straight from the UFC. But either way, statistics on our guy, T-Rex, Terrence McKinney here. He now has the shortest average fight time in the history of the UFC. Number 1 on the shortest average fight time list. He also is now tied for the second most sub 1 minute finishes in the UFC. Wow. He's tied with Vitor Belfort for that record. The only person in UFC history that has more sub 1 minute finishes than he and Vitor is Rumble Johnson. So that's a nice one there. And then also, he now has the second most lightweight first round finishes. So just setting all types of fucking, or coming close to setting out all types of records, doing really fucking Terrence McKinney style things. He is Mr. under 1.5. If you're a bettor, you know fully well, do not bet on his fights to go long. Despite our very own Austin having predicted a Terrence McKinney fight to go to decision on this show not too long ago.
I was close. God damn it.
Dave loves to bring that up. I think that's Dave's favorite thing that's ever been said on this show. But yeah, just a very T-Rex performance as expected. Saw this coming. Kyle Nelson, he's a good fighter, although he didn't look like it in this one. And if you want to give him somebody, and we're looking for something to do with a guy we were just talking about a little bit ago, why don't we do Juicy J versus Kyle Nelson? That's a fun kind of just, middle of the road fight.
I could handle that.
Yeah, lightweight, yeah.
I was laughing when they were describing him as the Canadian Sean Strickland.
His last fight he did.
So what, Austin?
I was gonna say his last fight he did. That was the one where he got the fake finish, then continued finish of oh god damn it, what's his name? Oh my gosh, I can't remember. Trains at Sarah Longo.
Frivola.
Yeah, that was the one. He should have finished him in the first round, but the ref didn't call it, so they just allowed it to continue.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
All right, Austin. Anything else to add on this fight before we move on?
No, I don't know who I picked in this one. I'll be honest. I'm fairly certain I picked Nelson only because I thought he could kind of grapple his way out of bad positions. But I think Terrence McKinney is the equivalent of, if you're a guy in this division, you can beat him. If you're not a guy in this division, meaning you're not going to be a top 15 anytime soon, or throughout the career of your tenure with the UFC, you're probably not going to beat him. That's probably a good measure of are you a guy in this division or not? If you can beat Terrence McKinney, you're a guy. If you can't beat Terrence McKinney, you're also not a guy. But sometimes you can be a guy by virtue of just being available. So I don't know. So it was fun while it lasted. So good for him.
Absolutely. Okay. Before we move on to more serious stuff, we have to have a little laugh at Bruce Buffer, who managed to announce the result of the Fortune versus Tybura fight incorrectly and sent an annoyed and confused Tyrrell Fortune heading back to the dressing rooms, while a possibly surprised but very happy Tybura celebrated the win, only for officials to drag Fortune back and tell Tybura they had it wrong and that he'd actually lost, which he took pretty well, to be fair. Come Tuesday, it seems like we'll see Fortune in the top 15. Not sure how much he improves the heavyweight talent pool, but at least he's a new name and a face. If he is right, then I'm giving myself some kind of award because I bought him unranked for my fantasy MMA team just a few hours before the fight started. If you guys want to say anything, poke a bit of fun at Bruce, acknowledge my genius, anything really.
It is time for Bruce Buffer to get the fuck out of here. It's time to hang him up. It's time to call it a day. Let Joe Martinez have his time in the sun. Bruce is 67 years old. I think it's how much longer you want to keep doing this? You're starting to slip. So yeah.
Well,
and as far as Tyrell Fortune, just real quick, he's not new. He's old as fucking piss, and he's the most tenured Bellator heavyweight in Bellator history. So,
Bellator maybe.
Yeah, he is. He's not a good addition.
We know that.
No, he's another fucking fat guy at the Apex.
He's 35 and 17 and or now 17 or 18 and 4, right? Or 3, right? He's got a decent record. He's just not a name, and that's fine. But if you're gonna look at this fight and think of anything more than like Tamarsin Tybura, this is the state of the heavyweight division, man. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I don't mind the fact that we have a new guy, but like the fact that like Tybura can be like, oh, look at that, I won, and then be like, oh, that sucks. I guess I didn't win. Like, either be one or the other, dude. Like, if the fact that you aren't even like super emotionally invested in the fact that you could have won or thought that you won, or even could have been like, fuck, yeah, I didn't deserve that one. Like, give us something, man, because it looks like you're just kind of like happy to be there to collect a paycheck. And the fact that we read the fucking decision and the fucking crowd was like, no. And then the fucking crowd got into it because Tyrell was walking back to the cage and they read the decision again. Sorry, fans, we got that wrong. Yeah, you fucking did get that wrong. That's right. You did get that wrong. The fact that they were more invested than the fucking people running the fucking show or the fighters themselves just shows the fact that, like, this is what heavyweight is now instead of the UFC division. And if we can't even fucking get fucking the fighters themselves super excited about it, the commentary, the people running the organization, or even the fucking fact that there's a timekeeper, an announcer, a goddamn scorekeeper, none of them gave a shit enough to the fans fucking been like, have more goddamn enthusiasm. Something is wrong, But I digress. Tyrell Fortune's a guy, and I had fun watching something else while the fight was happening, but still, I just things were happening inside the cage. I thought Tyrell won. I was super flabbergasted when it happened. The fact that we got the score re-announced properly, like it should have been to begin with, and we got to see Daniel Cormier be like, "Hey, yeah, you're a guy." He's like, "Yeah, it was 2 weeks notice, guys." I was like, "Oh fuck, okay, it's another thing. Whatever. It is what it is."
Well, no recognition of my genius, but nonetheless, we have one more fight. We have one more fight that we definitely have to cover. The fight of the night, in fact, at lightweight, Tofik Musayev defeated Ignacio Bahamondes, one of Lazy's favorite names, via decision unanimous 29-28, 29-27, and 30-27. So it looks like someone gave a 10-8 round out there. This was bloodbath I mentioned in the intro, the fight of the night. I haven't seen that much red on the floor since that time that Jeeves dropped a case of claret. Bahamondes won the first round on 2 cards. Not entirely sure how the one judge gave the first round to Musayev. Maybe the takedown and brief attempt at some ground and pound at the close of the round. I'm not entirely sure. Round 2, we had a blatant two-handed grab of the fence. the ref missed that might have seriously influenced the way the fight was going. It certainly stopped Bahamundis getting a takedown, and not very long after that, Bahamundis actually ended up on bottom and had his forehead sliced open by a vicious elbow. After that, it was time to paint the town red. Blood for the blood gods, who must have been on Musayev's side, because after missing the fence grab, the egregious fence grabs, the ref also missed a headbutt right in front of his eyes. Round three went mostly Musayev's way. Bahamundis, though, never gave up. Actually managed a superb sweep and back take in the final minute of the round, but it was too little too late, though. Absolute war, bloodiest fight of the year so far. I'm not sure how much blood costs, but in your barbaric country, but 100k should cover the bill. And anything you guys want to say on this one, the fight of the night? I don't know who's next, so take it away who wants it.
You want me to go, Austin?
Yeah, you can go. I need a minute to recoup my my voice.
Well, I will just say that I feel bad for Ignacio. I do. I feel bad for Ignacio La Jaula Bahamondes because his opponent, Tawfiq Musayev, is a dirty, filthy, yellow-bellied little cheat. He is a cheat. Cheated, as you pointed out, Mouse, not once, not twice, but potentially 3 or even 4 times. We had fence grabs with both hands that did alter the fight. We had headbutts, diving headbutts, which that's a new one, a ground and pound diving headbutt. You don't see those too often. We've also had speculation he might have been trying to bite Ignacio when Ignacio was fishing for the guillotine. Some people are saying they have video evidence of this. I have not seen it. I haven't gone back and watched it. But after seeing the other cheating, I'm inclined to believe he probably did. So I guess, as we often say, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. To quote the late, great Eddie Guerrero, lie, cheat, steal. You do whatever you got to do to win. That's the goal at the end of the day. But, buddy, my butt buddy, I will now have a different opinion of you going forward. You will forever be a dirty, filthy little yellow belly cheat in my book. So sorry, Ignacio, and I'll keep my eye on you, Musayev, going forward.
Conlon Austin.
Oh, God. All right. Well,
add your 2 pence, as we'd say, or your 2 cents, as you'd say.
Yes, my 2 cents is that Tawfiq Musayev is like that dude who he's decent, and he still does some dumb shit. And the fact that he got away with not 1 but 2 fence grabs. I think he also got like a toe grab too in there, Lazy, if I'm not mistaken, against the cage, where you're not supposed to lock your finger digits against the cage itself. But the bouncing head of the headbutt should be immediately a point deduction because it's purposeful, even if it was an accident. You are in charge of your own body when it goes to a takedown, especially when you're leading with your head. Like you're the one that's bringing your weight down on your opponent. You're supposed to be aware of your limbs at all times, right? The fact that there wasn't a deduction for that, but we can fucking take a point for a fucking ball shot in the main event? Sure. Yeah, because that makes sense. All of a sudden now there's fucking inconsistency. Wow, look at that, guys. But, neither here nor there. I think the right guy ended up winning, I guess. Because it doesn't, at the point of where you saw the reversal from Bahamondes on the bottom, that should have been an immediate stand-up. He should have stood up immediately because he was winning on the feet. He may have been clipped a couple of times, but you could tell immediately that he could not get back up once he got taken down or once the ground game was established by Mustafayev. That was the problem for me. Yes, he was winning on the feet. Yes, he should have got a takedown once he dropped his opponent. Bahamondes was smart enough to try to keep the fight standing. But if he engaged in the grappling, now, again, to be honest, it probably should have just been a draw, if I'm going to be honest, because you take the 2 points away or a point away from the second round, and then you still have Mustafayev winning in the third. You probably still end up with the draw anyways, or maybe even Bahamondes winning because there might have been another point deduction depending on how the fight played out. But it was just a mess. The fight was a fun fight to watch regardless. And I think you got to reward it with the fight of the night because yes, you probably should have had Bahamondes possibly winning a decision, depending on how the point deductions would have worked out. But like, you got to reward that man for giving up an ability to win, because the ref failed him in that point with $100,000. That's for sure. Not sure if Mustafa deserves it, but that's neither here nor there.
Good points. Now is about the time we usually do the best of the rest. But I think rather than that, I'm going to ask you guys to put the other three fighters, the other three finishers, should I say, from the prelims ranked in order. And in case you need a reminder, we had at lightweight, Lance Gibson Jr. defeated Chase Hooper, TKO knees in the first round, 2 minutes 56. We had at women's flyweight, Casey O'Neill defeated Gabriela Fernandez, KO punches, first round, 3 minutes 11. And the final fight was at light heavyweight. Izzy's mate, Navajo Sterling, defeated Bruno Lopez by TKO punches in round 2, 4 minutes 5. So, Austin, let me see you put those in order. If we get some kind of consensus between us, we might discuss that fight. If not, we'll just skip on to the next bit.
Gotcha. I just honestly, the way you kind of laid it out, Lance Gibson Jr.
Dave, I'm just trying to get social credit points from Dave, that's all.
Oh, Jesus. I like that bit. Yeah, the way you kind of ranked it honestly kind of works out for me, because Lance Gibson Jr. was a guy who's kind of like not really known. He's a little like older than he probably should be to be fighting at this kind of level. But and the thing that kind of annoyed me about that one was just the way that like it was super easy for Chase to get clipped. And I don't know if that's because he's probably not 100% from the last time he got knocked out. That would be disappointing if that's still giving him issues, because he's not doing the proper things to keep himself from getting hurt. He might just be chinning now, especially as he's been a lightweight in the last couple years. So that's concerning. The second one, definitely Casey O'Neill getting that finish, because usually you don't get women's finishes, and you don't get finishes that look like that, where she just kind of like deceptively set up a sneaky combination and then landed pretty decent punches and combinations against her opponent, Bruno. I'm sorry. I forget her name.
Gabriela Fernandez.
Fernandez, thank you. Yes, and Fernandez looked like she was capable, but Casey O'Neill is deceptive, so good for her. And then Navajo Sterling didn't look super impressive. He looks kind of like the schoolyard bully who kind of figured out that he can get paid for fighting and forgot what fighting was until he lands a decent strike against a more experienced opponent who just couldn't figure out what to do with his game plan. So that's just that one's definitely the last. So yeah, the way I had it. Hooper, O'Neill, and then Navajo.
Lovely. And Lazy, what are you going to go with?
I think I would go almost in the exact order that you had it. I would put the Lance Gibson finish first, but I would swap the order. I would put Navajo second, although he did beat a can. It was still his first finish since coming into the UFC as an official UFC fighter. So it was nice to see there. I would put the Casey O'Neill one third, because she's back to training in Thailand, and I suspect she's on the juice.
Not with a body like that.
Wow.
Yeah, I went Casey O'Neill first, Navajo Sterling second, and James Gibson Jr. third. Well, that's primarily because I actually picked Navajo Sterling to get a TKO finish, and the others were fights where I picked the other fighter in those. The Lance Gibson Jr. one versus Chase Hooper. Honestly, couldn't really remember anything about it. I know he staggered Chase Hooper, but I couldn't. There was nothing spectacular about it. That's all I can say. So shall we do Dave a favor and just jump straight onto Tapology?
Yeah, probably should.
Yeah. Okie dokie. I'm dropped that one in a while. Very competitive week this week. In equal third place was Genghis Bong with 555 points, 8 correct fights. And the other guy in third place was, guess who? Yours truly, DangerMouse, who also got 555 points. I only got 7 fights right, but it's Tapology. Those things work themselves out. In second place, we had Nemo with 615 points, who actually got the most fights right on the entire card of anyone. 9 fights correct, but wasn't enough to win him the week because Shulo came in with 625 points, 8 fights correct, 1 decision correct, 4 perfect correct fights. Predictions. That's pretty amazing. You don't see 4 very often. So yeah, congratulations to those guys. And I did actually have enough time to have a quick look at the league scores. So the final top 3 for this quarter, because we will be starting from 0 next week on the worst card of the year so far. It should be interesting for that one. But the final top 3 were in third place, collecting bronze. Yours truly, DangerMouse, JBR, 5,510 points. In second place, in silver, it's our mate Crossover MMA. I couldn't quite catch him. He ended with 5,630 points. He actually came just out. He came 5th this week. He just missed out on the top 3, as it were. And of course, in first place, we knew it was going to happen. It's our favourite man. It's the Duke of Dead Wrongs, our doctor in Hawaii. 5,850 points. Daz Riccio is the first ever champion of Tapology for this quarter. But we will see if we can catch him by the end of the year, because we are going to tally all these up. We're going to have individual quarter champions, and then we'll see who wins at the end of the year. Might even give a 6-month update. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, that's it.
I was just going to say, to break the fourth wall, and this is going to sound crazy because this will air on Monday night, but I'm telling Daz right now in the Submission Radio chat, where he's actively chatting, that he won this quarter of the JBR Fantasy Tapology League. Let's go.
That's cool. Yeah. Because I'm hosting, I'm not actually lurking in the Submission Radio chat just yet. Anyway, it's just there's one more thing to do, I guess, and that is rate that card. And I know he might be a burnt out shell of a man, but I'm going to make Lazy go first.
I sure am. And every fucking week I become more and more burnt out, but that is my own doing. This is all because of my own devices. I am a glutton for punishment. I love this sport. I love it on so many different levels, not just the UFC, guys. I love it all, especially my regional MMA. Especially MMA that is competed for under rule sets that, shall we say, are superior to what is known as the unified rule set. But nevertheless, I get off track here. This was a great card. No matter how burnout I was. And I sat through the entire thing from start to finish as it aired live. Lots of good fun results, lots of fights ending early. Wasn't too many decisions, obviously, as we were discussing pre-show. I think there was 7 rounds total on the main card or something like that. So just a really fun night of fights. And I think that we're seeing a pattern where the best cards the UFC has been putting on lately are these fight nights on the road. Fight nights when they go to Seattle, or fight nights when they go to a specific city and they put on some local stars on that card, fighters from around the area, and these guys are showing out, and these are kind of the more fun cards. So it was just really enjoyable. It was a fun night. I'll give it a solid 8.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
That is very generous from Lazy. I'm quite shocked, actually. I was expecting maybe a 6.5 from him. Who knows? Go on then, Austin. You take it away. I'll wrap things up.
Yeah, no, that's surprising to me, Lazy. Holy shit. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just taken aback by the fact that he gave it such a high score, Mr. Curmudgeon.
Well, I had low expectations, and it exceeded them.
Oh, look at that. All of a sudden, now your expectations are not high, like I tell people all the time. Well, just go into it with an open mind, and you might not be disappointed. Holy shit. Look at how that works out.
I often have low expectations, and it still manages to not exceed them.
Little bar is so low, I can't get fucking past it. I gotcha.
Yeah. But no, Dave's telling us to wrap it up.
All right, so here's the thing. I enjoyed the card from start to finish, although I did kind of miss the first one. I was kind of in and out doing stuff, and I forgot to rewatch it. But the whole fight night overall, like you guys said, is just, it's fun when you get a card that might not exactly be catered to the local populace, but it's a fun card because the matchups end up working out. Plus, you got a crowd that was into it from the fucking get go. Like everybody, even if the fights didn't go exactly the way they wanted them to, or the fights were kind of like mismatched a little bit, it ended up being a fun fight night because the crowd was into it, and the fact that we were into it watching for with surprising effect. That's always a good thing. I'll give it a 7.5 because I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the rewatch of it too. So can't go wrong.
7.5. I'm actually quite surprised with Austin there as well. I thought you'd be going to be more generous, especially with the.
I couldn't be more just because I had to rewatch some of it because I was in and out doing some of the stuff. So it's like 7.5 for me.
Okay, well, I am actually going to be the generous one then on this. I'm quite surprised. I thought someone else would do this. This has been one of the best cards of the year. I enjoyed watching it last night. I enjoyed rewatching most of it this afternoon, getting ready for the show. Didn't take very long because, as you said, we had about 8 rounds. So I am actually going to give it a 9.334, which if you look at some addresses, if you look at the address of the Climate Arena, that will make sense to you. And I do like to do these little things with my scores. So yeah, 9.334 for me. And that just about wraps it up for us. Lazy will be back next week with what's looking like the worst card of the year so far. Moicano versus somebody. I can't remember even who it is that he's fighting. Yeah. Oh, Chris Duncan, yeah. Oh, well, that should be an entertaining delight. We can but hope, people. We can but hope. It's going to be good night for Austin and Lazy. And all I have left to say is, people of Seattle, listen to me. We came for the spectacle. We stayed for the savagery. Tossed opponents and scrambled game plans. That's what tonight was made of. Fraser Crane may have left the building, but the Octagon delivered exactly what this city needed. Good night, Seattle. We love you.
Dr. Crane, your glockenspiel has sprung to life.
Oh, damn it. I had a line about whether this raised your glockenspiel or not, and I completely forgot it.
Good night, Seattle.
We love you. But I don't know what to do with those tossed salads and scrambled eggs.
They're calling again. Scrambled eggs all over my face.
Or discussing what they perceive as a lot of AI-generated content in the broadcast that maybe wasn't in previous iterations of the UFC. Is this something that's coming with the Paramount deal, or just a new direction for the UFC, or do you have any insight on that?
What does that mean?
AI stuff, commercials, part of the promotional content, just AI in the UFC in general. I've seen fans complaining about.
Oh, yeah? What are they complaining about?
I guess I've seen people saying that the UFC should be paying artists instead of using generative AI, stuff like that.
Give me a fucking break. AI is coming, and if we're using AI, who gives a shit? People are upset about it. We should use artists.
So is it a UFC internal choice?
Who gives a shit? It has nothing to do with Paramount. Paramount's not telling us how to run our production. We run the production. Sure. So every time we change, we go from Fox to ESPN, and then we go to Paramount. People are like, ESPN's doing this, and Fox is doing that, and Paramount, they're not doing anything. They have nothing to do with our production. They do create some of their own spots for fights, but we do all our everything from the artwork to production to music. Everything is done internally and always has been at UFC. How about this? Shut the fuck up and watch the fights.
Be Joe Pyfer, be Joe Pyfer, the thing, right?